welcome to the presentation we're putting on this afternoon. We've got a wonderful speaker here today with us. Tracy Turner is been kind to give us a little bit of his time today to talk a little bit about a new product, KUSH, but also to talk a little bit about joint afflictions and treatment for those types of afflictions. As I mentioned before, my name is John Dolan. I'm one of the management members at Petvivo, Inc. As in all presentations, our legal counsel usually asks us to put this sign up for any type of legal activities that might take place, any forward-looking statements. To give you a little background on Petvivo, Petvivo is an emerging biomedical device company located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We are currently manufacturing, commercializing, and licensing innovative medical devices and therapeutics for companion animals. The company originally started out, most of our people have worked in the medical device industries for most of their careers, developing human-based products. And how this company began was an attempt to leverage some of the human therapies into the companion animal market. And that's where we started to work with some of the therapies that we were familiar with and tried to gauge them and tailor them towards the companion animal market. Petvivo's got approximately 17 products that are in its pipeline right now, but its feature product right now is a product called KUSH. It's a veterinarian administered intra-articular injection product that's used for the treatment of osteoarthritis and other lameness issues in horses. And that product is expected to be in the market probably early next year in Q1 of 2021. So to give you a better idea, KUSH is a new therapy that treats the root cause of a joint affliction. Many times it's the loss of cartilage, and it just doesn't treat the symptoms, it treats that affliction. What it is, in essence, is it's a lubricious cushion that's injected into the synovial space. So when I say a lubricious cushion, it is a particulate that acts almost like a small sponge when put into the joint. So if there's loss of cartilage or there is gaps in the cartilage or holes in the cartilage, what it does is fills in all the gaps, creating a cushion between the bones, thereby preventing bone-on-bone contact. So in essence, it operates as a reinforcement to the cartilage that's already there. The nice thing about KUSH is that it's made out of all natural materials. So it's basically made out of collagen, elastin, and heparin. Our scientists have been able to figure out a way to put those components together to make a complex, which in essence mimics cartilage. So it's easily administered. It's a simple intra-articular injection. I'm sure all of you have done many of them before. I've witnessed Tracy do it. Whenever he does it, he makes me feel like I could do it. And I'm not skilled in that area like you are. So we've done it. The duration actually of the product has been pretty good. It will approximately last 12 months or longer. We've had some animals that have lasted longer than that. And it's basically used to be a one-time injection that usually can be done every year. So like I said, the last thing I always point out is that it's a nice product for vets because it's relatively inexpensive and has very high margins for veterinarians. So I could talk all day long, but I think you're all here to listen to Tracy speak. So we're fortunate to have our keynote speaker, Tracy Turner, here today. So as you can see, Tracy has quite experience in the industry. He of course is a doctor of veterinary medicine. He received his DVM degree from Colorado State University in 1978 and completed his internship at the University of Georgia and a surgical residency as well as a master's degree at Purdue. He served on the faculty of a number of universities, including the University of Illinois, Florida, and Minnesota. And at Minnesota, he was the head of large animal surgery and attained the rank of full professor before leaving academics to join the Anoka Equine Clinic in 2004. As you can see, I'm not going to go through all of these. Tracy is a very busy person. He has sat and has worked with a number of very prominent organizations throughout the United States and the world. So without me saying anything more, I think I may hand it just over to Tracy Turner. Tracy, I will leave this to you to begin the conversation, and then if you need anything from me, please let me know.
All right, well, John, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the slide with all the lies about me. That works. So I think what I'm going to do before I just open it up to questions is tell a story how I got involved and where it all comes from. So basically, was it 10 years ago? It might have been that long, where I was approached by a company that was producing these, Gel Del, and wanted to know if I thought there might be a place in the treatment of lameness, arthritis, etc., for horses, for this product. They described the product to me, and that it was going to be, much like you just heard, a sponge-like microparticles that could be injected, but it was made of collagen and elastin and heparin, and these are all products that are made up of into cartilage. But I will tell you, the first thing that came to my mind when they asked me that was that going, you know, for years I like dealing with the foot, and I think the digital cushion of the horse's foot is extremely important. But when a horse starts to lose that part of its foot, it's done. It loses its reserve. So I said, yeah, I'd love to try this out. And I just had just exactly what I wanted to do with it. So they gave me some product, and I put it into some digital cushions of horses. And I will tell you, I learned enough that I wanted to do it more, but not being in academia anymore, I need to find somebody that wants to do some extra research to follow that line of thinking. But along with that, they asked me to try the product in other places and get a feel for it. And I did. I put it everywhere, maybe not everywhere, but I put it in every joint that I go into. And it's had no issues with it. And since then, clinically, I'll finish the story. So I liked the product, but it disappeared for a while, as businesses do, and the manufacturing and et cetera. And about that same time, some new hydrogels came on the market that are certainly being marketed here at the AAP workplace that you've seen. These hydrogels are polyacrylamides, and I looked at those and they had similar properties. So yeah, when I came available on the market, I certainly tried them. I will even say one of the products came from Europe, and a client brought me some from Europe and wanted me to use it on their horses. And after a thorough reading of all the literature I could get, I decided I wouldn't be in too much trouble if I put this in a joint. And I tried it. So I've tried that. I've tried the polyacrylamides. They're similar, but they're not the same. I mean, KUSH is a hydrogel by that definition, but the other polyacrylamides are that. They are polyacrylamides. They're soluble in water, so really they're plastic in water that gives you, well, it gives you really nice lubrication. And I'm not going to go into all the things those products do. KUSH does very similar things, although I think it's better because it's more natural. It's got the collagen in there. It's got elastin, and so I always felt like it's a more natural product because it's and especially if I've got collagen and things in there, I can put it into joints and potentially resurface it. And there is some research done on rabbits and smaller rodents that's been done that is very encouraging in that respect. I have personally dissected out 2 horses after having this in the joints, and can tell you there was no reaction in the joints. There was no big enough cartilage defects where I can tell you that. I can also tell you in the digital cushions, it did make them more robust. Is that enough to do everything I had hoped? Yeah, I don't know. But in the last few years, it's since Petvivo came around, I've had the more product to try out, and I've tried it clinically in most joints. There's a couple that I haven't put it in yet, but I put it in a lot of places, especially in the horse's foot. and found this product to be an excellent addition to our medical bag of therapies for joint disease. It's not an anti-inflammatory product, but because of the nature of the product, I can add anti-inflammatories to it without changing the nature of the product. And I've done that. And I've put it and used it most commonly in places where I have what I think is some joint damage, some loss of cartilage, or if I can't diagnose the loss of cartilage, certainly loss of movement. The joints become stiffer, and I want to improve the motion in the joint, similar to what's described for other hydrogels. And I've been very happy with the product. I want to try some more and put it in some more places. I can tell you, I've had a couple of cases that if I hadn't been the one working on the case, I would scream BS. But I had one horse that was no longer responsive to any other therapy, had been injected with IRAP numerous times, steroids numerous times. I was asked to look at the horse, and in my examination of the horse, I felt like there was this horse, part of the reason it didn't respond very well is it had an injured meniscus. Due to the injured meniscus is the reason why the horse wouldn't respond to anything. And I talked to the client about, well, we could do arthroscopy on this, but the best I can do arthroscopically is clean up the damage, and then we start over. Or I said I had this other product because it's collagen-based. One could hope that it might even fill in the injury and relieve the horse's lameness. So the client was very game to do that. I did it. And then I came back 2 weeks later to check the horse. And true story, I got the horse out and I'm working the horse, and I walked over to the client going, this isn't the same horse, right? You switched horses on me, you're playing a game, right? And they go, no, that's her. And I was like, I'm amazed. I can't, the horse was completely sound, flexed up good. I was flabbergasted, and the horse is due to be rechecked for about 3 months now, and the horse is still going really well. So that's probably the king story right there. Although, other places I've used it, I've been real happy, but that one's is the best story I've got. I'd like to open it up for questions. If people have questions, I can do my best to ask or to answer. Or we certainly have scientists here that can tell you more about the science of the product particles.
So Tracy, one question I'm wondering about is the usability of the product. Can you walk us through a little bit on the usability? Is it relatively easy to use?
It's easy to use. The one thing the one thing I think you need to use that might be different is that when I inject anything, I'm not real fond of lure lock syringes, just because it's not fast and it's stuff. But I think with this product or like products, a lure lock syringe is that so you don't blow your syringe off. It's a little thicker than other products, a little thicker than high molecular weight hyaluronic acid. So you can, if you're not right in the joint, and you need to be right in the joint, it may be a little more difficult to inject, but I think that's one thing that I use to make sure that I know there is the ease of injection. And if it doesn't go really easy, I'm not where I need to be. So that's the only hint I do. Otherwise, it's the same joint injection you do any place, but make sure that your needle's where it belongs.
I see one question from someone on the chat line that basically asked the question, any action on the joint capsule? Is there any action on the joint capsule?
Well, I think the action on the joint capsule will be like other hydrogels. This product will be incorporated into the synovium and give you better lubrication. And for me, that's been one of the major indicators for wanting to go with this. If I have a stiff joint capsule, or I think that's part of my pathogenesis of the problems I have, I like this product for that because I think it gives you superior lubrication in that. Also use it for, places where I think I've lost cartilage too. But this is one of the major indicators, I think, for where this product belongs.
Tracy, do you heat it up or warm it up any kind of way to make it easier to inject?
I don't. The biggest thing I've done one time or a couple times to make it easier to inject is I actually, when it first came back out in the market, it was even a little bit thicker than it is now. And I used to cut it with hyaluronic acid. So that doesn't make it really that, it makes it a little less viscous, so it's a little easier to inject. And then there's another question that came up is how would you differentiate KUSH from the other hydrogels on the market? I think the biggest differentiation between the two products is that KUSH is normal proteins. I mean, it's a collagen-based product versus the polyacrylamides, which are plastic. Essentially, that's oversimplifying it, but the polyacrylamides dissolve into saline to make the lubricant that they become, and they get incorporated into the membranes, and theoretically they can also fill in some of those gaps. But being a collagen-based product, and this is one of the places if I was still in academia, I'd be doing some more research on that, is being a collagen-based product, can it actually start to be a lattice form for the healing of some of these injuries versus just a gap forming into that? I don't know the answer to that. We're playing around with some ideas to see if we can actually see this with the ultrasound, the particles in there. I may need to get a new ultrasound, but to see if you can figure out a way how they're incorporated. And there's some other ways you could do that to see if the collagen base is actually incorporated into the body itself. But I don't know some of that.
Tracy, I'll add one thing to it, just from a more science basis and not necessarily on a veterinary side of things. To give you an idea on you may have seen in a couple of the pictures that we popped up earlier, as Tracy mentioned, it is a particulate. The material itself, when it comes through the syringe, almost acts like small sponges. They're about 100 to 150 microns in size. And the normal hydrogels out there are usually a very viscous hydrogel, So it's not a particulate necessarily or a solid in a way. It's more, like Tracy said, it's a hydrogel. So I hope that I can put up a picture after we're done here again so you can take a look at this material, but there are some differences there.
One of the ways it was explained to me is that when you with the collagen particles, the sponges, it actually absorbs the body's hyaluronic acid and it gets in there, so it actually incorporates it. So that's why you can put other things with it, and it holds that in the sponge. So it's imagine a sponge soaking up some stuff and staying in a.
I have a few questions, if that's okay. First, because it is a natural product, have you seen any anaphylactic, or not anaphylactic, but allergic type reactions? So in the early days, or things like Synvisc or Hyvisc, if you put it in by itself, they can have joint reactions, that sort of thing. And then another question that I had, I'll just throw them out there, maybe everybody can address them, but what I can see is that putting this in would be advantageous, and you alluded to that possibly you can put some steroids in there with that. But my next thought started to think, can we put this in, let it become that bridge in the cartilage deficits, and then do we follow up with things like IWrap treatments and things for the joint capsule and stuff?
Oh, let me answer those two things. Have I seen a flare? I have one case of all the ones I've done, and it happened 2 to 3 weeks post-injection after the horse had gone off into the high country. And I got they're good clients, and the horse just wasn't right and had some swelling. And I don't know everything that happened to the horse, but that horse ended up with what was called an infection. I was doing stuff over the phone. I I really honestly don't think it was a flare, because every flare I've seen happens pretty fast. There's other complications. This horse may have actually sustained an injury while up there with part of this, but it certainly had increased white count in the joint secondary to stuff, but it sat for a couple days before they could get to a veterinarian. So that's the only maybe flare I've seen. Do I place antibiotics? I have put antibiotics with it. I did the vast majority and without using antibiotics, because I'm one of those people that doesn't believe in putting the antibiotics in the joint because they have negative effects. But I've put it in there as well just to see, good, bad, or otherwise. And I haven't seen any difference. I think the need for people putting in antibiotics has a lot to do with the preparation of the joint and your technique. And I'm kind of an old fuddy-duddy, and my assistant will clean a leg so I can eat off of it if I need to. And I'm very fastidious about my injections. So I don't use antibiotics generally. I will on occasion put in that if something breaks my own fastidiousness, is that the right word? And then combining it. I think that's one of the places, what I've told people, because this has been my MO when I've used it, is that I want to knock out the inflammation in the joint first, because this device is not an anti-inflammatory. So if I can knock out the inflammation, then I'll come back with the drug. But I think you could do it either way. But you can combine it with IRAP, or you can combine it with whatever, or put them in together. I've done both of those things and not seen a difference. There are times when I want to see what I get with just an anti-inflammatory injection, and then I'll follow up with the KUSH injection. It's oftentimes that, well, I got 85% with the anti-inflammatory, and the KUSH injection gives me the rest. So keep happy people happy.
What's your favorite joint? What's your favorite problem? Ring bone, knee arthritis, fetlock arthritis?
Well, I don't think I have a favorite. Well, if anybody knows me, they know where my favorite area of the leg is.
Other than the foot, yes.
Well, and so yes, it's been in coffin joints, it's been in navicular bursas, and yeah, I kind of like the way it goes in a navicular bursa. It's because the size of an injection, the size of that bursa, it really feels it, and so horses where I've diagnosed where they have either loss of cartilage on the back of the navicular bone or fraying of the deep digital flexor tendon. Boom! What better product than you put in there that can fill in those gaps and let that movement continue? And I've been very happy with the results. I mean, there's still other things you have to do, but I'm going to knock on wood because I'm sure I'll be bitten by lots of lameness. It kind of takes that navicular bursa off the table. It doesn't take the tendon out, but it takes the issues with the bursa. I think it does a really good job with that. And this is a complex enough area that there's other things to do, but with the bursitis and the erosions that you can get, and the tendon flaring or tendon fraying that you can get, this is I like this.
Is there a human product that you can name?
Is there a human product? Is the question, is there a human product which is equivalent that we can name right now? No, actually, this product is launched only in the veterinary space at this point. It likely will likely file an IDE on it in the near future to pursue the human regulatory path for this product.
Can I be a test subject?
Sure. I'll let you join right along with me. I have been trying to talk Tracy into injecting me for the last few years, but he hasn't quite taken me up on that yet. My knees and ankles are not in great shape either, but yes.
The other thing I thought when they first brought this to me, I looked at the scientist and I said, how comes we're not using this in the human cosmetic industry? I mean, just the nature of the product. Well, I could see, I want bigger cheeks.
I want stock options.
And it's interesting how Tracy says that, because this particular product was originally made for the cosmetic market. It originally was. It did actually a human clinical that went head to head. If anyone's familiar with some of the cosmetic tissue fillers that are out there, it went head to head with Restylane in the FDA processes. So, but the inventors of it were savvy enough to realize that it probably had a lot broader application, and started to do testing in injecting it into joints. And I think one of the questions out there was, have you seen a flare up? And the fortunate thing is, during that initial testing, that was one of the things that spurred us to push it into injection into the joints, because we did not see an immune response when we did our initial animal testing.
What about racehorse? Have you tried it in these fetlocks that get tapped like they're asking for injections every 2 weeks, it seems like.
So they have a video of a horse post injection. It's got a goofy name. What was the horse's name again?
Actually, go to our website. There is a video, I believe, on our website right now. The horse's name is Fender Bender.
Yeah.
Fender Bender. And that horse, they did an injection. They were concerned about the horse. It was having severe lameness issues. And I don't recall, I believe they injected the fetlocks on that horse. It ended up going out, I believe they raced it within 30 days. And I see John Carruth is on this call. He might be able to correct my inaccuracies on this. Within 30 days, he went out and he won his next race. So if you take a look at the video, the horse trips coming right out of the gate. The horse trips, falls behind by about 10 lengths, and then ends up winning the race. So it's an impressive race. Whether he was injured or not, it's an impressive race.
I was going to say, John, you can find the video on our AAEP little webpage on our profile. I'm not sure if it's on the website right now or not. I know on the redesigned one it will be. And then, Fender Bender is a great race.
And the answer is yes. We've done quite a few horses that are racehorses. We've got a number of vets that have been using this product and injecting racehorses.
So how long do the injections last then, do you think? Or what's the repeat then?
Tracy, do you want to answer that first? And
we're looking at a year. I'm especially waiting for this horse with the meniscal injury. I have not yet repeated, in the last couple of years, I have not yet repeated a KUSH injection.
Yeah, so
which is kind of tough for my bottom line, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're seeing, Tracy's right. What we're seeing kind of generally is it's about a year. We've had some that have gone much longer than that. At times I have to think a little bit whether my equine or my canine information is correct, because we're in both types of animals. But normally it's lasted a year, and some of the canine, I know that it's gone for 2 years plus. Some of the horses a lot longer also.
Is there any difference between the canine products and the equine products?
No, right now, no. We're in formulation right now. I know that our scientists have worked with maybe a little bit more heavier duty product for the equine, but they have not launched that. We're not sure when that will launch. We're having good success with the product that's used in canine and equine. So we don't see that change being needed here in the near future, but our scientists are working on another version.
You wouldn't hesitate to put the KUSH in with the triamcinolone?
Nope.
So to give you an idea, that's what we've done historically quite often. Usually it is a dual injection that takes place with the triamcinolone. So as Tracy had mentioned before, taking out or knocking out the inflammation is kind of a goal. What we're trying to do with KUSH is augment or reinforce the cartilage, create that cushion. And it is much more effective, I guess, if the inflammation is not in the joint.
So one thing I will tell you, if you want to use it that way, and this needs to be tested, and I'm probably going to do it here sometime. I don't know how that changes the pharmacokinetics of the triamcinolone, meaning how long can it be detected from a drug testing, because the sponge, in fact, can hold the steroid in there. So does that change the pharmacokinetics of the triamcinolone and make it detectable longer? Which then means you're going to have to change my injection protocols before competitions. Now, I haven't heard of anybody having any issues yet, but I think this is something that needs to get done just to take a look, see.
Tracy raises a very valid point. Some of our veterinary, our vets that work on the tracks have been injecting it without the corticosteroid. And so it's something they have used it both ways though.
Is there a volume difference? So a bigger joint needs bigger volume, or is it all the same volume?
Usually, it depends on the size of the joint and the affliction. Some joints will, of course, need more volume. Usually, our recommendation is that if you can fill it to more than 65% of the joint space, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a cushion between the bone. So when the bones are compressed together, you want to have enough product in there to basically fill in those gaps and create the cushion so that the material is not pushed just to the outside. So you do want to have enough in there. And so yes, you will need more material in some of the larger joints.
And that's how I've done it too. The bigger joints, I've done that. I've fetlocks, coffin joints have been one syringe. Same with the carpet, but a stifle gets at least 2.
Are you putting it in hawks?
I have not put it in any hawks yet.
Can I share my tiger tail story?
I want to hear your tiger tail story.
We have a tiger at the zoo that was bothering his tail, licking it incessantly bald. And we x-rayed it, and there was some little osteophytes, evidence of arthritis. So I anesthetized him and took some radiographs, placed my needles radiographically, and injected KUSH in 4 joints of his tail. And the hair is growing back, and he's not licking it anymore. And prior to this, we had tried laser therapy, because we can work on him with his tail outside the cage with the laser, and he's fine. But obviously, the anesthesia is a thing. So we wanted to do something that we wouldn't have to repeat.
Dana, didn't you have good success in a horse a while back?
Sure. Oh, the stifle. Yeah. I had a horse that one of my clients adopted from California. I'm up near Seattle, and the horse had a torn stifle meniscus that was diagnosed by a veterinarian in Southern California. The owner had put a bunch of money into treatments and given up. So my client, with very little brain cells, adopted the horse and wanted me to make it better. And I didn't know what to do. So we tried some stem cells, and then we tried the KUSH. And then it was kind of lost to follow up, because the gal that owned it wouldn't go out to see him because he was so lame. So she just boarded him out and ignored him. And I went out about 4 months after the KUSH, and the horse was trotting around, and I thought it was a different horse. And the vet in Southern California had advised euthanasia.
Well, it looks like, Tracy, we may have exhausted all of the questions here today.
Well, that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I want to point out, John Carruth, maybe you can present it. We are offering this product right now to anyone that's attending here today. I believe we're offering a 2-for-1. So if someone wants to try out the product, give it a shot, we're more than happy to send a syringe. If they'd like to purchase the product, we will send them an extra one if they purchase one. But again, if they'd like to purchase the product, or if they'd like to try the product, please contact John Carruth. I'm going to pop up the information again. And if you need more information, our website has information, or you can contact Mr. Carruth, and he will provide you some additional information on the product. And I'll pop up the I'll pop this up one more time for just anybody's information. If they'd like I said, if they'd like more information, please go to our website or contact Mr. Caruth. The number is listed on the screen. So with that, I want to thank Tracy Turner for joining us and providing his insight on his experiences with the KUSH product and also his experiences in treating horses. Like I said, if anyone needs any further information, please feel free to give us a call or to send us an email, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Or if anybody's bashful and just wants to contact me, not in front of everybody, I'm happy to talk about it.
And very good. And so on that, thank you everyone for attending, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the show.